How the Dice Fell.
Flint Daniels and the Demon Shield of Syterria.
Part 2.
When we got to the our ship, it turns out that a bunch of the alien lizard guys, the Izith, had planted bombs on them. But fortunately for us, and unfortunately for them, one of them had accidentally dropped a data pad that had like the instructions for the bombs on it. And so thus began a bomb defusing minigame where
did you play
keep talking and no one explodes. Yep.
But the way that Robert did it is he was the instruction giver and we were the bomb diffusers, which is interesting because like that, it makes him a participant, and in a way he was the most important participant, like, and so
long story short, we almost diffused all of the bombs.
By almost, it means each one we almost diffused it.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. So they all went off. I was so close on mine. It was close. There's
in hindsight, we should have had it on an easier difficulty because none of us had played before, and like Robert had it on the easy difficulty, but the thing is the easy difficulty is harder than the tutorial difficulty, and so it really should have been on ultra easy for people who hadn't played before. Also, it's like some of them came down to like whatever, like different mistakes that he made, which is fine, but it's funny because it's like he's the GM, and so he makes a mistake and we suffer.
Right.
But it follows in the grand tradition of mini games and then the GM sucking. Like every time I've done it, like when we played Scotland Yard and I accidentally made a mistake where I got caught on the first turn, and I was like, okay, how about we just forget about that and I give you guys a perk? Or the time that they played those gargoyles, then one guy had been inventing this game and playing against himself for thousands of years, and then I was like, I'll be this guy, and then I made some stupid mistake on turn 2 and they just instantly won. And the guy's like, how about best 2 out of 3? But I don't want to make it seem like he's super sucked or whatever, but just there were mistakes that he made that we suffered for. And
obviously we made more mistakes than he did, I think, but still.
So the way that worked is all 5 bombs, was it 5? Yeah, all 5 bombs did 1 damage to the ship. So we started playing Space Alert with 5 damage already, which is not great. And I mean, one thing that was interesting though is because it happened before flying, we applied it before flying. So that's something that's not like usually you find out what the damage is after the fact, but we actually knew up front at least what our first 5 damage was going to be. So we knew, for example, the white zone grav lift was down, so we knew that it was a delay to go to take that grav lift. So so after that we flew off on our mission to go to this asteroid to buy the obtanium, and we flew off on our mission, our Space Alert game. It went how these things often go.
It was okay at first, but we got an internal threat that was BattleBot's rebellion.
Well,
and we got that right after 2 of the players had taken BattleBots, so they had BattleBots.
We had to deal with that right away.
Yeah,
but actually, I think it was one of those games where during the action phase, like where you're rushing under the timer, I thought we nailed it. Like we rocked it. We communicated well. We rocked it. We dealt with the BattleBots. We dealt with the threats. We dealt with everything.
Yeah.
It was actually a little bit easy because, but the random generator, well, not easy, but it was a little bit mentally easier because the random generator gave us 3 or 4 serious threats, which sounds bad, except serious threats is only 1 card, so it's just less like mental things, right?
There weren't as many of them around.
It considers a serious threat as equal to 2 normal threats, and so there's just less to think about when you get mostly serious threats. So I thought we rocked it. Unfortunately, 2 people made catastrophic errors.
Yep.
And
we thought we'd gone into one zone, but we actually went into the other zone, and then everything after that is just running against a wall, pushing the wrong buttons type of thing.
Yeah.
So
yes. So both Brian and I made catastrophic errors. I think both of us on turn 3, or was it turn 4?
I think it
like
was
the same turn.
Yeah,
And
it was. I remember when I turned over the card for 3, I was like, and I go to the red zone.
Oh, that's right. Yours was on turn 3, and mine was on turn 4.
Yeah,
because I turned over my thing for my thing, and I was like, I pressed this button, and I'm like, wait, I'm in lower white, but when I played this, I thought I was in lower red. And what had happened in my case was I had misunderstood where Tim was, and so I had to adjust my plan. But when I adjusted my plan, I forgot that the first card I played was a double action that had both moved me and pressed a button. And so, but I subbed that out for just the new action, and so I never moved. And so I never moved to the which is, I think, blue, actually, the right side of the ship. I never moved to the blue zone. And so everything I did after that was complete nonsense. And I was instrumental in stopping the BattleBot Rebellion, because the BattleBot Rebellion, you had to press, you could do extra damage if you pressed both BattleBot Cs at the same time. And I was supposed to be there to press it. And so I was instrumental in that. I was instrumental in destroying the serious threat in the blue zone, which I can't even remember what it was now. Oh, it was a frigate or something.
I think it was the one in the red zone that was particularly bad. It was like a dreadnought or something. It was a thing that had a lot of guns.
Yeah, there was one that got faster and faster, and that's what, like, there was a blue zone that actually got taken out, or the right zone. I think right is blue, right? That's the zone that actually ended up completely destroyed.
Yeah.
So I was instrumental in dealing with 2 serious threats, and except that from turn 4 onward, I just did a bunch of totally random actions that had no significance whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so that meant that nothing was dealt with. And then Brian was similar, like there were whatever he was supposed to be dealing with never got dealt with.
Yeah.
And so just everything fell apart.
It was pretty random for me too. I
was
gonna deal with I think I was firing on the guy in the ship in the blue zone that ended up blowing up the blue zone. And I also did some contribution towards the BattleBots Uprising, and neither of those things happened. So
the BattleBots Uprising went all the way to its Z, which is they knock out everyone who's not on the bridge, and the blue zone got totally max damaged. And
in the end, the only survivor, well, I mean, we all survived, but the only one who was still standing was Dr. Yoon.
Yeah, because at the end, it was everyone who wasn't on the bridge gets knocked out, and she was on the bridge.
Yep.
So
so yes, the good doctor that everyone trusts was once again
totally not mind snaked.
Yep. And so she managed to like pilot the screaming wreck into the docking bay of the asteroid.
Yeah. There was a tractor beam that pulled them in, that helped.
And I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. We can actually afford repairs. We've got 1 million galactic credits. But yeah, we need to buy obtanium first. And then if there's anything left over, then we can pay for repairs.
Right.
So yeah, we let's see, we exited the ship. And there was a guy there who was like not a dockhand. He was like a security guy who was greeting us, welcoming us to the station. What is your names and your place of origin, your race of origin? Was it race of origin, planet of origin?
I think it was name, species, and place of origin.
Name, species, and place of origin. That question, that set of questions became very common over the course of all this. Everyone wants to know name, species, and planet of origin here. So yeah, we told them our names and our species, and our Flint Daniels identifies as Space Ranger rather than as human. And of course, Pill was like, I am human.
From somewhere like Canada. No,
I am from the human homeworld of Earth.
Yeah.
Yes. And let's see, was it here or was it the other guy? No, I think it was the other guy. Later on, we're talking with. Oh, right, the advocate guy. Anyway, in this case, they were like, oh, you're those people. Ah, yes. There's a warrant out for you. You have been like charged with disorderly conduct and wrecking up the joint, in the more legalese terms. What was the name of that place? The art gallery planet?
Yeah, the Ahiri or
The Ahiri.
Yeah, the Ahiri. Yeah, is the
Ahiri.
planet.
The
suzerain or the
suzerain are
aliens.
the people, and Ahiri is the place. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was the art gallery thing where we basically I mean, they basically set us up and then we ended up having to fight our way, and then we
Yeah.
discovered that like they were cannibalizing those little cute Mogwai
Kiwabis.
guys, the
Kiwabi.
Kiwabi, and
Yeah.
then like
Yeah.
and then we were like, what the heck, you can't do that, and they're like, we can do what we want, you guys are breaking the law, you're under arrest, and then we broke out of there and escaped, and then we sent it off saying, I hope you've enjoyed our performance art. This is a you know this is an art showing how
This is what
horrible
the
the
humans
suzerain are, and how they, you know, what happens when you cannibalize others and enslave other species. That was but the Ahiri consider us to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And
I-
or sort of the suzerain consider us to be the bad guys, but
And I was sort of like impressed with, oh, we're in a civilized place if there's a warrant out for us.
Mhm.
You know, it's starting to seem like there is actually some kind of a interstellar organization out there. It's not just a whole bunch of random planets that are all out for each other.
Right.
Each planet you go to has some kind of horrible thing going wrong.
Yeah.
And they've never
Somebody's
met
in charge of this madness.
Yeah.
Sort of.
So anyway, we went along with, after much discussion with this guy about whether we could bring our weapons and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yoon, we tried to make the case that Dr. Yoon's rocket launcher was a religious item. She had it as a symbol of her faith. She would carry a rocket launcher around with her, but didn't work. That's all right. So we went with him. We got arrested and went to a jail cell. And I think Robin was really enjoying playing Chumley as a coked up paranoid in the previous adventure. And so the consequence that she took from the ship crash, each of us, you know, since the ship exploded, we start the adventure with an injury of some kind or a consequence. And she took I think it was a concussion that made her paranoid or something like that. Yeah.
my hair burned off, but then Yoon fixed it.
Yeah. That was the only medical problem that Yoon was able to fix was, yeah. In Pill's
Turns out
case,
she just stuck a wig on.
yeah. In Pill's case, one of he had a twisted ankle. His foot is twisted 180 degrees around from how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a twisted ankle, which gives him some difficulty with running around. I can't remember what Daniels's consequence was offhand. No, I can't remember him.
Yeah, it didn't come up. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, they took us to the cell, and then there was like some time where we had to wait, and so we were trying to like think about breaking out of the cell or whatever, and so
Never give player characters time to think.
I had actually taken for my level up quadcorder specialist, which was basically I have advantage whenever I'm using my quadcorder for things it wasn't designed to do. And so I was like, I'm going to set up a resonance cascade to overwhelm the jail cell bars. And
Good
Robert
old
was like,
cascades.
yeah. Robert was like, all right, but it's going to be really hard. And so I made the check and failed. There was a little bit of confusion because I thought I was making the check to decide whether I was going to do it or not, because I wouldn't do it if it wasn't going to succeed. Either way, we just checked it again, and in the end, whatever, it happened and it failed. So then they noticed. I was monkeying around with the bars. But I think all that really came of that is the guard came over and they're like, hey, stop that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Robert was really wanting to get on with things at that point because we were just messing around. we had some intercharacter interaction going on. I'm reminded as I think about that, this asteroid that we're at is actually an interstellar asteroid. It's not bound to any particular planet. And Pill expressed great mock surprise at this because it is impossible for life to persist on an interstellar body.
Right.
And everyone was like, yes, that's right, Pill. We believe that. And so Pill was satisfied with that. But yeah, Robert showed us some pictures of the place. There's actually a really big city on this asteroid. It's a very advanced cosmopolitan place with like, very cyberpunky sci-fi type stuff. And there's a big building that's like the headquarters of the mining corporation that is sort of it's a company town. And so they're the ultra wealthy company that runs it all, but there's lots of other businesses and stuff around. And seems like a nice place.
The top, I mean, one side, which we shall herefore describe as the top of the asteroid, is covered in like skyscrapers, and the bottom is covered in crystals. So yeah, just to give you a sense. I mean, you could look at it from whatever angle you want because it's in space, but it, clearly they meant it to be looked at from a certain way when they built it. So yeah.
And I mean, there's artificial gravity generators. Perhaps it actually is the bottom now. If you went down there, you'd fall off.
Yeah, it could be.
Space magic. But anyway, so yeah, we eventually had it. She wasn't like a lawyer or an advocate or something, but they had a neutral arbiter. Whatever their legal system is, it seems like a very arbitrary sort of legal system, but they theoretically have these neutral advocates or neutral arbiters that will come and talk with you and sort of figure out, what your situation is. And then they'll go to the judge and plead your situation.
Okay.
So we never actually saw the inside of a court, but we got this advocate or arbiter that came down to us and interviewed each of us in turn about what had happened at the Ahiri place and whether we were a danger and all that sort of stuff. And I think we made a pretty good case that, first of all, it was kind of BS. The whole charge in the first place is kind of BS. And secondly, we're not going to cause any trouble unless you've got like cannibal slaving going on and stuff like that.
That was like someone asked, like, do you cannibalize other species? No. Do you have slaves? No. Is this an art show? No. Well, then those are the things that were.
Yes, the art show set us off. We were everything was fine, but then it was like paintings. But anyway, yeah. So eventually, they agreed to let us out. It was also the case that we're here for a specific purpose. We want to buy something, and then we're going to leave immediately. So that also was probably a factor in this. Our money's good. That's also a factor, probably.
We have good money, and we would like to leave as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah. So we were turned loose on the streets, and we went straight into an alley to eat slugs, because there was that the great big skyscraper of the mining company that mines obtanium, like right down there. But there's an alley over there, and there's an eccentric NPC selling slugs. Let's go talk with him.
Well, and Robert had like, oh right, that's right. The advocate person, or maybe it was someone who came to let us out. It wasn't the advocate person. Had said to us that the head of the New York corporation wants to see us, and he and that's the place that sells obtanium, and it was all set up to clearly go there. We're like, we're gonna go explore the marketplace and see if we can find some off-brand obtanium.
Actually, yeah, it wasn't entirely ridiculous. The fact that we went to a slug vendor was kind of ridiculous, but our plan was, before we go and talk with the CEO of Nira, let's at least find out what the market price of obtanium is.
Yeah.
So that if she's like, yes, it will cost, how much do you have in total? It's like, we have 1 million credits. It will cost you exactly 1 million credits.
Yeah.
And like,
For 1 unit of obtainium.
yeah, we're supposed to get 100 cells of obtainium. That was our directive.
I see.
It turns out that whether metric or imperial cell, that will come in important later. But anyway, so yeah, we thought we'd, see if we could find out just what the market price was, if there's like a commodities market or a ticker or something like that. And the first thing we did was ask a random food merchant, hey, what's the price of obtainium? And he's like, I sell slugs. And we're like, how much are your slugs? so yeah.
They were 1 credit. We tried them, but no one liked them.
He gave us free samples to see whether we liked them or not. I think we said that if we had money left over, we might come and buy some slugs or something. But really, we got to get this obtainium because Earth is currently under attack as we speak, and we need this to build a planetary armor system.
There's no time to just be eating slugs.
Yeah. So yeah, then we went and tried to find some kind of library or public information booth or something. And the slug merchant did direct us to that.
Yeah, we were talking about like what we need to do is just figure out what the equivalent of Google is on this asteroid and then just Google it. Like that's our goal.
Yeah.
So
we're trying to find a public terminal that has space Google. And we were directed to not an information broker, but it was like an information booth / library type place, which is exactly what we needed. And so we went there, and there was a guy there who we could talk to about our queries. And he wanted to know our names and species and planet of origin. And so we told him, and he was like, you're humans from Earth? That's not where humans are from.
Oh.
And I can't remember what the name of the planet he said was the human homeworld.
I don't remember it either.
It starts with an A, I think. It was like, it's not Averia, or it's some name that I haven't heard before, so presumably was made up for this adventure. He says that's not the human homeworld, that's the human homeworld. And Pill just sort of says, oh, you clever monkeys. and just gets this amazed, well, he doesn't really give an expression, but inside the suit, he just has this I don't want to say epiphany because that means something else.
Right.
But he had this just realization, like, you clever monkeys. You put this whole time. You're not fools after all. You're hiders with a front. You've got a fake homeworld.
You got a fake homeworld.
Yeah. I thought it was Earth, but you fooled me. Oh, but he didn't say all that out loud. That was just going through. He muttered, "You clever monkeys," under his breath, because he hadn't turned the microphone off, I guess. But yeah, he has now just, boom, his worldview changed. These humans have been presumably unintentionally fooling him because he's completely disguised. They don't know he's not a human. But Earth isn't the human homeworld. It's a decoy. This whole time, he thought they were foolishly sticking their necks out into the cosmos to get it chopped by the first destroyers to come along. But nope, the Earth is a decoy homeworld. Their real homeworld. So now he wants to find the real homeworld of humanity. But yes, that was a remarkable discovery on Pill's behalf there. He's been fooled this
all
whole
the humans are like, no, it isn't.
Well, they were like keeping up the facade, like, oh, it's not, it's Earth is our real homeworld. We don't live anywhere else. And Pill's like, yeah, right. Earth is our homeworld. We don't live anywhere else.
No one really commented on it because we didn't want to like give away anything. So we just sort of like this, like we didn't trust people, so we just left it. But Part of it was that the reason for this is that the head of the New York Corporation is human, and that's her homeworld, and she says it's the human homeworld. So that's why everyone on this asteroid thinks that anyway. We don't know what's up. There's a lot of quest hooks, you know. It's like the classic GM thing, right? The GM gives a number of obvious quest hooks. Go here, go to this building, and next thing you know, your players are just eating slugs in an alley. And
Yep. And now we're at a library. We need to buy obtainium to the library.
What is the historical price of obtainium? Yeah.
Well, we did find out. What were the exact numbers? I can't remember the exact numbers, but it turns out obtainium, we needed cells of obtainium. And he was like, well, what size of cell do you need?
No.
A cell, B cell, C cell?
AAA?
And we're like, we need to use it to construct a planetary armor over a planet that's 12,000 kilometers in radius.
Right.
And so he was like, oh, you probably need 100 C cells for that then. And yeah, I remember now, the 100 C cells cost 1,000 credits each. No, 1,500 credits.
Okay.
So we don't have enough money for 100 C cells.
What?
That's 1.5 million, right?
Nope.
whatever the number. No, sir, it wasn't 1,000. It was 15,000.
15,000, not 1,500. Yeah, it was enough that it was 1.5 million to get 100 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you discount C cells.
Well, that was the thing. He was like, well, how about B cells? Would that allow us to construct a planetary armor? And he's like, not over the whole planet. And we're like, oh, we're going to lose Australia then, I guess.
She sells C cells by the seashore.
And then we're like, well, what if we buy some C cells and some B cells? So yeah, we don't have enough money for the perfect solution. We might be able to get enough to protect the important parts of the planet.
Yeah.
There's also apparently if we have an official
questionable origin, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, that's also a thing. Apparently, if we have an official account with the New York Corporation, there's a discount, which the discount was actually enough that we'd be able to afford it. But the problem is it takes it takes days to get an account with them. And they may only set up an account with us if we're planning to buy things in bulk. And I don't know if 100 is bulk. So
yeah.
What's considered bulk?
I mean, it's enough to armor an entire planet.
Yeah.
So
so
presumably that's a lot. But I mean, maybe we're not going to be repeat customers, especially given that we're a planet of fools.
Personal log, Flint Daniels, Space Ranger. The mysterious asteroid of Syterria beckons. After crash landing here, we have begun our quest to obtain obtainium. And yet, we have already been thwarted by the evil cannibals, the suzerain. And yet, we have found our long-lost family. There are humans. I always knew we belonged in space, and turns out we always have been. The dream comes closer and closer. All we need is obtainium.
Lieutenant Pill's log. Encryption key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, those clever humans. I've underestimated them. I think I have. I've been fooled, even. I'm incredibly insightful, and yet they managed to fool me. They have a decoy homeworld. Earth isn't their true homeworld. It's a planet called Zerasis. I have to reevaluate everything I've thought about these people. And of course, I have to report the location of Zerasis. But we'll find that out. Those clever humans. They're more like us than we thought.
Engineer's log. They have taken away our weapons, but they have underestimated my amazing superhuman strength, which I will bring to bear at the appropriate time.
Oh, that
those people who came to ask about the obtanium, they seemed like nice people. I hope they come back and buy some slugs, because, I mean, I get plenty of business here already, but I want them to try my slugs because they seemed interested, but so rushed, and, you know, they deserve a treat. They seem like they've had a hard time, so I hope they get to slow down and enjoy themselves, and I can help them with that, with my nice treats.
Medical officer's log? Chumley just doesn't shut up. I mean, he gets what's coming to him. Has he never heard of his Miranda rights or anything? Like, if they tell you, stop talking, or we will muzzle you, or we will stop you, you stop talking. Anyways, he got it. What was coming to him?
This is all that Chumley has to say.